and the flickering yellow light was not the sun. Realising the danger she was in, she leapt from her bed, trying to undo her previous slowness. She must get outside and away from the fire. The smoke was already coating her tongue with its greasy soot. She called for her husband, Aeneas, and her son, Euryleon, but they made no reply. She left her small bedroom, the slender cot with its red-brown coverlet that she had so proudly woven for herself when she was first married, but she did not get far. She caught sight of the flames through the small, high window just outside her bedroom door, and all speed slid away from her feet into the floor. It was not her home which was ablaze. It was the citadel, the highest point of the city of Troy, which only watchfires or sacrificial flames or Helios, god of the sun travelling overhead with his horse-drawn chariot, had ever lit before. Now fire was jumping through the columns of stone, so cool to the touch, and she watched in silence as part of the roof caught, and a sudden shower of sparks flew from the wood, tiny whirling fireflies in the smoke. Aeneas must have gone to help battle the flames, she thought. He would have run to offer assistance to his brothers, his cousins, carrying water and sand and anything they could find. It was not the first fire which had threatened the city since the siege began. And the men would do anything, everything, to save the citadel, site of Troy's most prized possessions, the treasury, the temples, the home of Priam, their king. The fear which had driven her from her bed ebbed as she saw her own house was not ablaze. She and her son were not in danger, but, as so often during this endless war, her husband was. The sharp fear for survival was replaced instantly with a familiar, pinching anxiety. She was so used to seeing him go out to fight the pestilence of Greeks who had been encamped outside the city for 10 long years, so used to the dread of watching him leave and the crippling fear of waiting for him to return, that now it settled on her almost comfortingly, like a dark bird perching on her shoulder. He had always come home before, she reminded herself. Always. And she tried to ignore the thought which the bird squawked unbidden into her mind. Why should the past be any guarantee of the future? She jumped as she heard another monstrous crash, louder surely than the one which had woken her. She peered around the edge of the window, looking out over the lower parts of the city. Now she saw that this was not a fire, like other fires, save for the importance of its location. It was not confined to the citadel. Pockets of angry orange light were flickering all over the city. Creusa murmured a prayer to the household gods, but it was too late for prayers. Even as her tongue formed the sounds, she could see the gods had abandoned Troy. Across the city, the temples were burning. She ran along the short, dark corridor which took her towards the front of the house, through the courtyard room she loved with its high and ornately patterned walls. No one was here, even the slaves had gone. She tripped over her sheath, then twisted her left fist into the fabric to shorten it. She called again for her son. Could Aeneas have taken him to collect her father-in-law? Was that where he had gone? And opened their large wooden door onto the street. Now she could see her neighbours running along the road, none carrying water, as she had imagined Aeneas would be, but only bags with whatever they had managed to gather up before they fled, or nothing at all. She could not suppress a cry. There were screams and shouting coming from every direction. The smoke was sinking into the streets, as if the city was now too ruined, too shamed to meet her eyes. She stood in the doorway, unsure what to do. She should stay in the house, of course, or her husband might not be able to find her when he returned. Many years ago he had promised that if the city ever fell, he would take her and their son and his father and any other Trojan survivors and sail away to found a new city. She had put her fingers on his lips to stop the words from coming out. Even saying such things could invite a mischievous god to make them come to pass. His beard tickled her hands, but she did not laugh, and nor did he. It's my duty, he had said. Priam commands me. Someone must take on the mantle of founding a new Troy if the worst should happen. She again tried to crush the flurry of thoughts that he would not return, that he was already dead, that the city would be razed before dawn, and that her home, like so many others, would not be here for anyone to return to. But how could this have happened? She pressed her head against the wooden door, its black metal studs warm against her skin. She looked down at herself and saw oily black dust had already settled in the creases of her shift. What she could see happening across the city was not possible because Troy had won the war. The Greeks had finally fled after a decade of attrition on the